If there was one aspect of Tarkov that could be compared to something like a living organism, it would for sure be the economy in the game. Both the flea market and the natural economy created by the traders in the game. If you're watching this and have played for a couple of years now, you'll know that one thing is common across the entire game and all the items that are sold to us. Everything's gotten insanely expensive over time. To be fair, the economy from the sounds of it will be getting completely redone from the ground up once the game's closer to an official launch, but for the time being, that's not where we currently are, and we're not getting there for a long time either. So let's talk about the economy and how everything is arguably too much money for no real good reason other than because it can be. Now, making money in Tarkov can be easy, however, doing so requires a shift in your mindset when you play and your overall expectations of what will occur during a raid. There are tons of tutorials and ways of getting your hands on hard-earned rubles, so we won't be going into the how of this conversation, but more so the why. Why do we need to farm money in the game? Should we be able to hit rock bottom? What could be done to maybe alleviate the need to farm money or be stingy with it? These are some of the critical questions I want to think about as we talk about this. For starters, making money itself, there are a lot of ways to go about this. Your scav is an excellent way of doing so. But the problem is that unless you have Intelligence Enter level 3 and max scav karma, you won't be able to run your scav enough times to warrant actually making good money consistently. Sure, you might get lucky with finding some really solid treasure loot, or you stumble across some PMCs who haven't been picked clean, but after that, there's at least a 15-minute wait before you can try again, assuming you haven't maxed out the scav cooldown. In the meantime, what are you gonna do? You can PMC run for sure, but honestly, with how some of the things are in the game right now, it doesn't feel so good to go on with a kit and die to a scav that's aiming at your teammate and not you with one shot. With the way feedback and response is in Tarkov right now and how overall egregious it is, I don't blame people for not either wanting this PMC run or resorting to playing very low geared and getting their stuff pushed in every raid. Obviously, at the end of the day, it's BSG's game. They're gonna do what they want with it, and we have to accept that, and I have. But if there is one criticism myself and a lot of other people in this community have said numerous times, is that Tarkov does not respect the player's time. Your time. It just doesn't. If all you want to do is go into a raid with even like a medium level kit, nothing crazy min-maxed, maybe just like a moderate AK and some level 4 armor, you can't really do that consistently from the get-go. It's not like those more arcadey shooters where death doesn't permeate throughout your experience. You just respawn and keep on going. There is a build-up you need to go through before you can just run whatever you want, and having tons of money helps facilitate this and then some. But that requires a time investment some people may or may not have available to them. For a game that isn't an MMO, it sure feels like the time investment required is comparable to something like a Final Fantasy XIV. People who have the ability to play more will be leaps and bounds ahead of people who have a fraction of the time. This aspect of the conversation has been talked to death about, but I'm not coming at it from a casual versus veteran perspective. In a game like Final Fantasy XIV, being ahead just means you do the endgame stuff with the people who are around you the same level. If you're new, you're just new. You can play the game, you level up, you take your time. Tarkov's different, man. Being low level hurts, and you feel it so much more because there are people around you that are so much higher level and have crazy gear. So it feels really unfair when you're like level 5 and a 45 rocks up through you on customs and smokes you with a gun that you haven't even seen before. Either way, I'm coming at all of this from a life circumstance perspective. For some, they might love this game to death and are willing to put up with the BS because they just enjoy it that much. However, they might not have the time to invest as much as they would like. So maybe people who can only level up to their mid-20s before the game resets, thus not allowing them to experience the freedom of using whatever they want because they have an exuberant number of rubles sitting in their stash. And I know the flea market exists, and as long as you hit level 15, you basically are endgame and can kind of get whatever you want at this point. But with all the restrictions BSG has made on items and gear and guns recently, like having those items restricted so heavily, having the flea market doesn't mean as much as it used to, you know? Now, I'm sure the first question you might ask is why should BSG cater to these people who can't play all the time? They don't have to, so they should do as they please, and you're kind of right. Would it be nice for them to ease some of the attainment of some of these sought-after items and weapons in-game? Maybe. In all honesty, anything they do to make the grind a little more streamlined, not easier or shorter, streamlined, I would be kind of down for. I mainly play this game. It's my go-to whenever I have free time. I enjoy other games here and there, but currently there isn't anything else really vying for my attention. And if I want to make a video about Tarkov, I kind of have to play it, you know? I have definitely advocated for BSG making the game harder and take longer to level up, but I can't really say the same about how they've been handling some aspects of the economy as a whole. An example of this, a simple one, but an example regardless, is one of my personal favorite weapons, the ADAR. You find them on scavs, you can buy one straight from Skier, or, and this is something I've done for years, you find an ADAR relatively cheap on the flea, even if it's got low durability, and you just swap out the lower receiver with a brand new one, also from Skier. Now, the lower from Skier used to cost only about 7,000 rubles. That has since changed with this wipe and all the changes they've made. It's double that now, almost 15k rubles, which, again, you might scoff at and ask, then that's nothing, why are you complaining? And again, you're kind of right, it isn't that much in the grand scheme of things. But my problem isn't how much it went up, but the fact that it went up in the first place. Did the lower receiver for the ADAR being 7,000 rubles break the game? No, it didn't. Did raising the price to twice the original amount fix the game? Also no, it didn't. So why change it at all? Other than because we have lots of money, let's inflate everything to a ridiculous level, there isn't a good reason for this. BSG didn't change the price of the M4 lower from mechanic, it's still 20,000 rubles. If anything, I'd argue that is more worthy of a price hike than the ADAR, and this goes way beyond just weapons and parts. Food, drinks, meds, they've all gone up so much. It's wild that we have to pay almost 50,000 rubles for a Celoa, but they go for half of that on the flea market. It's almost like that's what the community has agreed is the actual price for that med. But enough mauling about the stupid stuff. It's just an observation that a lot of things don't really get the same treatment, which is unusual because a lot of the issues that I've tried to address have either been not that bad or a byproduct of their own design. If anything, the 8-hour change just reinforces how we should be able to build more guns from scratch from the vendors and have it, on average, be on par or a little cheaper than buying a gun straight up. I mean, there are a decent amount of options available. We even got the Scar L lower now, so we can build that all the way if we wanted to. But I wish there was more of an emphasis on building guns instead of buying guns. The economy in Tarkov is a fickle beast to even try to tackle. You adjust one thing, and 10 other items you didn't think of become a problem. The flea market has definitely made things complicated to an umpteenth degree, and while getting rid of it would be a cosmic earthquake to the game as a whole, we know it's not going anywhere. It's been reined in over the years, and the wild west of the flea has been adjusted considerably over time, which is good because I don't want to go back to seeing level 6 armors on the flea for cheap and having everybody run them whenever they have money. But to say the flea didn't have a colossal impact on the game, and arguably some of the decisions that BSG has made in regards to the overall economy, would be a lie. I'm curious what's going to happen as we approach 1.0 release of this game over time, and would love to get an idea if they're still planning on redoing the economy across the board, what we could expect from that. I mean, this won't be for a long time, I reckon, but I am curious. So, leave a comment down below if you have an idea as to how you would try to balance the economy, or at the very least make it more conducive to a better user experience, and not feel so bloated in terms of prices because people can attain millions of rubles. I'm curious if anyone has been stewing up an idea or how they might adjust some of the game's economy, and be sure to subscribe for more videos about how everything in Tarkov is just way too damn expensive. I hope to see you in future ones.